Hello! Hey, this is John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. Today we're doing a review demo of the American Professional Stratocaster. So all of you amateurs, don't touch this guitar. Just kidding. Anybody can buy this guitar if you've got the do-re-mi. Let me tell you all about it after I tell you about how we're recording this. Basically, couldn't be simpler. I'm plugging this Strat directly into a Fender Supersonic amp that's being mic'd with a Royer R121 mic, and we're leaving it quite a bit off the amp because for whatever reason, this mic sounds better the further you get it off the amp. So micing with that, running that into an Apogee Quartet and into Pro Tools. So basically, plugging in and blowing and going. So a lot of you are probably saying, what's the deal? What is different between this Stratocaster and the Stratocasters they've been making for the last 60 some years? Well, I'll tell you. It's pretty cool that Fender, you know, when they started making this, I guess the first Strat was what, in '54? They've kind of been taking notes from players and changing all along. You know, the original ones just had a, well, like I've got my old 66 here. It has a three-way switch. And Fender found that all these players were doing things so they can get that middle in-between sound. So after enough guitar players were making these mods, Fender decided, well, why not make those mods too? Fender also learned that players were putting on bigger frets, so they added bigger frets. They've been tweaking all along, and this version is just another one of those, it's kind of taking everything they've learned through years and making a few improvements. And why don't I tell you about them? The first one I'll start with is the neck. Like if any of you have the American Standard Strat, that has a modern C, but this has a deep C. And what I like about it, I think it's kind of tapered where it's a little bit fatter down here because you want you want a little girth down there. You know, so you feel like you got something in your hand. But as you move up and your thumb kind of moves over, it gets a little bit thinner. So that's pretty cool. I like that. It goes from a deeper and seems to kind of just feel a little more, I don't know, a little ergonomic or whatever the term is. Anyway, that's a cool improvement. Next thing they did, difference is they've gone to these, from medium jumbo to these tall, narrow frets, which I like, particularly for bending. You can really bend on these fat or these tall frets like this. My old 67 Telly has the original frets on it, and man, it is a bitch to bend on that thing. The notes just kind of disappear, but on this, you can really go. So that's a cool improvement. Other improvements they've done, let's see, I've got a note here, wait a minute, wait for it. Oh yeah, so the nut, before it was synthetic, now they've gone to the bone nut. That's cool. I just think that they sound better. Maybe it's in my head, but I think they just sound better. And they seem to kind of, like your strings don't get caught up as much. So that's very cool. Probably the coolest change is the pickups. Tim Shaw, who you know from, Tim Shaw was a guy at Gibson back in the 80s who designed some great pickups there and had a lot to do with 80s Gibsons. And he's with Fender now, and he came out with their Shawbucker. I think we reviewed that about a year and a half ago. Great humbuckers. And he did these pickups. And I called up Tim and said, what's the deal on these pickups? And he said, Tim took a very boutique kind of approach to it. He tried to voice every pickup for its position and how it's going to react to the other one. I can't tell you all the magic behind it because it's engineer stuff that I just don't understand, but apparently Alnico is a compound of like cobalt and titanium and aluminum and iron and something else. And there's all these different types of alnico, and they all react differently, which is really cool when you think about it, that these elements that are, you know, basically stardust that created with the Big Bang or whatever, are now find their way into your guitar. They, in different proportions, they're going to react differently. So he did things where each string is kind of voiced a little bit differently in different parts of the neck. I don't know the whole, like I said, it's way over my head. Talking to Tim is it's over my head. But in short, he voiced them so they work well alone and work well together and work well with fat strings or skinny strings. And I like, because I'm shallow like this, I like that it is staggered and gets that old school look. Like, dig how these are, you know, staggered. And these look kind of like the same thing. I just like the aesthetic of, you know, old funky looking pickups, which these are. I don't own a Fender from this century, but mine from past century all have that, and I really dig that. And I know that they got away from that for a while, so it's cool to see they're doing this. So why don't I quit talking about these pickups and just show you how they sound. That neck to me is really, really dreamy, man. Right? Cool. Put a little dirt on that bad boy. Man, right? Anyway, very cool all by itself. Let's go into the quintessential Strat tone. These two together. Actually, yeah. That tone right there. That's so, you know, Dire Straitsy. Nice, right? Then the middle pickup, that's kind of the neglected tone of Strats, but to me it's just, that's such a money sound right there. Add a little dirt and you got Bonnie Raitt. Come on, who doesn't like that? Next one, these two right here. That is the real. I mean, come on, man. That is the quintessential Strat tone to me. That is why I first wanted to buy a Strat when I was a kid. And Strats are so amazingly versatile. I remember hearing, Stevie Ray Vaughan, when I was a kid, and hearing all he was doing out of that guitar. It's the first time I really noticed somebody changing pickups as they play. And he was just like all over it all the time and getting all these different flavors, and it was so great. But that tone, it's one of those clean tones that really cuts, I don't know, for whatever reason, with these two pickups, you can plug into any amp and it's going to sound cool. I mean, no matter that, from the cheapest crap, solid state whatever to some boutique whatever, it's going to sound good. You can't really mess that up. And for whatever reason, the way Tim Shaw designed these, that quack seems really accentuated. Cool, right? Get it in the bridge. And I think Tim said the bridge is a little bit hotter, which it should be. That's where you're gonna get that bite when you're clean, and you'll get some dirt when you'll get a little more oomph on your dirt. So cool tone right there. And here's what's really cool. As I was saying, Fender taking notes from its customers. My old Strat, you didn't have a tone control on your bridge. I had to wire that in. But with this one, you do. Which is very handy because it gets a little over the top on that thing. So it's nice to be able to roll it down. Very cool tone. And speaking of tone control, here's something that's really cool, a very cool update. It's something called Treble Bleed. And many of you people, particularly of my era, know that when you back down your volume on these guitars, you lose on old Strats and old Les Pauls or whatever, you would lose your high end when you'd bring down your volume. But that's not the case on this. It maintains, as you roll down your volume, you keep all that treble. Observe. Here we are. I remember back, I don't know, when I first started playing like in clubs, gigging and stuff, and I would roll down my volume and my guitar would just turn to mud. So I started using a volume pedal to kind of get around it, but still, it's a kind of the Achilles heel of that design. And I love the fact that you can keep your tone consistent and just change your volume. Because when you want to change your volume, you really don't want to change your tone, you just want to change your volume. So this enables you to do that. So that is a very cool upgrade. Last little bit I'll talk about is this Whammy Bar has the, I guess the two knife edge whatevers right there. There's a pop-in mechanism, so you're not screwing it in, which I like that. Quick in and out, and you're not going to cross thread it, but that's very cool. And the Whammy Bar this all stays in tune really well. It's set up kind of high. I tend to leave mine, put my screws in and have it almost against the body, because that helps me, particularly when you're doing bends and things like that, helps it stay in tune. Like when you here, when you've got it up like that, if you bend your G string, it'll drop the tension on your E. So if you bring it all the way down, it's not going to do that. But you don't have this kind of floating thing like it's set up right here, which is great. Yeah, the intonation is really stable. It just doesn't seem to move very much, which is a huge update. So I guess all in all, I'm saying good job, Fender. Way to take a classic guitar and make some improvements. It's kind of hard to mess with the special sauce when you've got something that you've basically built your entire company around. The Strat is a huge, iconic guitar. So you jack it too much and people will be angry about it. However, they made changes that were worth making, and it didn't compromise anything of the whole quintessential Strat sound. So good for you, fabulous guitar. To read the full written review, go to premierguitar.com, and while you're online, make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to our ever-growing YouTube channel. Hell, also check out Instagram, Twitter, all that social media crap. We're all over there. This is John Bolger. Till next time.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on premierguitar.com.